I've been running this 250 watt heat lamp in my chick brooder for a good number of years, and I've never had an issue up until last year when I made 2 mistakes, which led to me catching my brooder on fire, and I nearly lost 50 chicks. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what it is that I did, and I'm going to be running a comparative test against this lamp with something that I believe is safer. I'll be evaluating energy usage as well as operating temperatures. So I had just fed the chicks first thing in the morning. Everything looked fine. I headed into town. Was probably gone somewhere around 25 to maybe 30 minutes. And upon my return, I entered through that door and looked down, and I could see smoke billowing out of the brooder. So much so that, in fact, it was starting to build in the garage and starting to wisp and bank down a little bit. An area probably about the size of a basketball underneath this that had ignited due to the radiant heat exposure. And it was mostly a smoldering fire, but there was some flames present. And all 50 of the chicks were crammed over into that corner, much in the same way you see right now. So what happened? And what was different this time? Well, there was 2 things, and both of them were my fault. When these chicks get big enough, sometimes they'll jump up and get inside this guard and get stuck in there. And I've actually had chicks get burned. So when they get old enough to do that, I like to remove that guard, which in and of itself isn't a problem until you combine it with what I did next. As these chicks begin to lay down their manure, I'll bring in more carbon, more sawdust over the top of it in a deep mulch type of an arrangement. And with the 50 chicks that I had in here last year, which is more than double of what you can see now, I just wasn't paying close enough attention, and I allowed the level of that carbon to get within close enough proximity where radiant heat was able to get things started. The ignition temperatures for wood can vary depending on the wood itself, how wet it is, how dry it is, the type of wood. What I'm using in the brooder is a softwood, mostly Doug fir, and it's shavings as well as some sawdust. The ignition temperature for that would be somewhere around 450 to 500 degrees would be a pretty safe bet. However, it will ignite at a lower temperature if it's had ample time to dry out. So now that I've coupled using something with a less than perfect design with mistakes that I've made, I've decided to kind of take the human element out of it, or at least that portion of the human element, and go with something safer. And that's what I'm going to be comparing this lamp against. First, I'm going to evaluate the temperature difference between the heat plate versus the heat lamp. I'm going to take these about 6 inches away right in the center. Plate is showing 146-ish degrees. Heat lamp is 548 degrees. Next, I'm going to do a quick comparison of the energy usage, measuring watts, amps, and kilowatt hours. 253 watts. Let's check the amperage. Let's pull in 2.081 hour. And we are at 0.25 kilowatt hours. 51.2 watts. 0.82 amps. 1 hour on the brooder plate. 0.05 kilowatt hours. So will this remain in my repertoire? Absolutely it will. There are definitely better designs, better cage designs where you're not going to wind up having your birds get stuck in here. But it's very important when you're receiving birds through the mail from a hatchery to realize that those birds, their body temperature has been significantly dropped. And in order to give them the best possible chance, you need to use something like a heat lamp to warm up all the ambient air temperature around them as quickly and as rapidly as you can. I like to do that for a minimum of at least the first day, and there's nothing wrong with doing that up to about the first week or so. After the first week, you can remove this heat lamp, put them on something like a brooder plate, which is going to be safer, and eliminate that element of risk from human error. But this will absolutely remain in my repertoire, as janky as it is. I just need to be more mindful about what I'm doing here when I'm raising these birds. If you like this sort of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.